Hi there, this is a qualitative research tutorial in the research methods in the social sciences. The core principle of qualitative research is the quality of something. How does it feel, appear? How does it smell? In other words, what are the sensory experiences? How do I smell, touch, feel this? Or what are the aesthetic experiences? What's the opinion of its beauty, the understanding about this thing? How indeed is it viewed through the senses? Another core principle might be, what does it mean? So we have sensory experience, now social experience, particularly in what people do in their interaction with one another. So sensory experiences, social experiences, but then what influences this? So the social environment, this is where the research question relates to the neighborhood walk a lot, because where one does the social phenomenon often affects what takes place. You studied this very much in the gang initiation video, the idea of social environment of the gang initiation and how that infects and influences how one makes decisions about things. So we have sensory, social experiences, social environment. But then how should it be understood is another element of quality. For instance, cultural and religious background that affect the sensory and the social. So someone's eating habits or sense of smell based on food could be religiously and culturally driven. What smells or tastes good to one culture does not taste or smells good to another. Even the social relationships, how they are affected by culture and religious background. So we have sensory experiences, aesthetic experiences, social environment, and culture and religious background, all affecting the quality of something. From this, we gain understanding from observing non-quantitative aspects, non-calculated aspects. It really brings meaning and understanding into why things take place. The components of the qualitative assignment are 6. The first is the research inquiry or the research question, which you've adapted from your original research question, and it might now have emerged in your data as a bit different than it originally was. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to stick with the same thing you have, that's perfectly good too. But you want your research inquiry, or research question. Then the research field. Here's an importation directly from the neighborhood walk, likely, where you can talk about where this is taking place. Then third, methodology, in dense detail describing what you did. Then the results, laid out in what are called codes, themes, and trends. I have a separate video on coding, theming, and trends that you must watch to really get a picture of this. But the results are codes, themes, and trends. Then analysis. What does this say? Or what does this show about this quality of things? Finally, number 6 is a concluding statement at the end, a summary statement about the whole process. So let's look at some of these individually. Methodology. Here you need to bring in some catchwords. Participant observation, ethnographic, third eye lens, cinematic montage if you used it, and other types of qualitative aspects, a qualitative interview, for instance. Then you need to describe how you collected your data. First, jot notes, which are handwritten notes that are done on scene when you're there. Then camera notes, pictures you took with your camera. Audio notes where you might have recorded something or recorded an interview or even recorded yourself as you're walking. So data collection method. How did you collect your data? Jot notes, camera notes, audio notes. Then you need to describe in dense detail the time, dates, places of episodic observation. Episodic is like a TV show, various episodes. So I'm expecting in this project at least 4 40-minute observations on site. However it is you do this. Now some students do both qualitative and quantitative combined, and that's fine if you can pull two types of data simultaneously. But for the purposes of the qualitative, you need to show at least 4 episodes of how you did this, even if it is observing from your window what's going on outside. Then what tools did you use? What type of camera? What type of recording device? Or other elements you might have used that are technical pieces. Essentially, we must be able to replicate your experiment with the same tools and then in the same methods. Then we have the big part of this project, which is the assembling of the raw data. From your observations, you will transcribe them in rough form. So your jots or your short notes that you've done for your observations, you now write it out in long form. Your camera notes that are photographs, you're now going to transcribe in detail what do the camera note or the camera say. In audio, you will transcribe your actual words. If you can get it into some kind of audio transcribing software or something, this can really help you with a lot of time. Then interview responses that you might have done on audio, transcribing them, or if you took little short notes or they just answered on a sheet of paper shortly what they did, you describe in detail what they actually said. Then you're going to have codes, themes, and trends. You have a choice of at least 3 of these, either 1 of each, 2 and 1, or maybe just all codes. In my other video on codes, themes, and trends, we go into this in much more detail, so you'll need to watch this to be sure. But simply, codes are words that repeat or are common in your transcriptions, often using a word search function in Word. Themes are concepts and ideas that are common in your transcriptions, social phenomenon, sayings, and this type of thing that are common in your transcriptions. And trends are phenomenon that are common, things that happen regularly in your transcriptions. So you must assemble your data in these categories from across all your notes. Then I'm going to add another little piece that might be applicable to you but might not. What's done in qualitative data, sometimes we will mention what was not seen that was unusual or unexpected. For instance, I've shot this video during the COVID-19 pandemic. And what some students have done is they've gone out on the street and they've noticed the phenomena of nobody there. And thinking there's nothing happening and that's not data. But it actually is data because for this particular time period, it showed something unusual or unexpected. So it's often good to ask yourself when you've gone through all the assembly of raw data, what did I not see that I expected, or which of this was particularly unusual or unexpected? Now we need to build results for this raw data. So what you're going to do is you're going to assemble it in codes, themes, and trends in separate paragraphs, cutting and pasting pieces from your main field notes that align with a specific code, theme, or trend. So take, for example, this being all your notes, all without any kind of organization. You'll now align a code, theme, and a trend, and you'll pick notes to fit these 3 categories. And from these categories, you're going to craft a transcription into what we call a novella. A novella is like a short story or a novel, a narrative. Tell the story of your project. This is what we call in research the journalistic approach, which was brought to us by the Chicago School and Park and Burgess and others. In the good qualitative work has to be able to retell the story in a great way. So the results of your raw data will turn into a 700 words or more. I think perhaps about 6 or 7 pages double spaced. of codes, themes, and trends. Do not just copy over your transcriptions without codes, themes, and trends and just typing it all together. That's not qualitative data. That's not a novella. What a novella is telling the story through the codes, themes, and trends. Make sure you do this accurately, and don't just do the simple thing. Oh, I'm just going to copy over my stuff to there and not actually do any analysis of the notes. Finally, you're going to do an analysis of what do the codes, themes, and trends tell us about the research question. After you've written this novella, at the last part, I do like a summary discussion statement about this. What's the relationship of all this to your research question? And to what degree do we understand? What more empirical evidence or what knowledge do we have now that we didn't have before based on the work you did? So you have raw data, the putting together of the data, turning into analysis. Then you might want to just at the very end put a concluding statement, a summary statement about the overall project. So that's what the qualitative project is. And I look forward to reading yours and hearing about your neighborhoods. Have a great day.